What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's Aleksi here. So in this video I want to talk about kind of like the truth and why it's very easy to kind of hide. And if you like, check out the Truth Trust link and fellowships and everything on there as well, and other links in the description. And you know, with this topic you need to understand that like when it comes to the truth and hiding, in a sense, like sometimes you're hiding behind the fact that you're like trying to practice the truth, but you know, kind of pretending you're just trying. Like at some point you kind of need to understand that you either practice the truth or you don't practice the truth, in a sense. Like kind of like half, you could say, assing it, in a sense, doing 50%, you know, just good enough, 3 out of 5 or something, you know, it's not practicing the truth, in a sense. Like for example, if you're doing a duty in God's house, are you doing that duty actually like properly? Are you doing it like not at 50%, you know, but 100%? Are you giving it your all? Are you also practicing the truth your all? Are you actually trying to contemplate on yourself every day, learn more truths, be disciplined in your faith, and you know, praying to God and being disciplined in your reading of the word, actually practicing it as well? And you know, when God orchestrates scenarios in your life, are you able to practice in your daily life the truth? Are you able to understand yourself and what you're doing wrong when you make mistakes, or seek the truth when you do things wrong, right? And you know, God disciplines us and requires of us obedience when we do things wrong, and to be loyal to Him and do our duties and be proper creative beings. And this is where you need to understand, like, are you practicing the truth or are you not practicing the truth, right? This is where you kind of need to understand that like a lot of people may say they are trying to follow God, but following God and actually like trying are two different things. And that's kind of what also God detests, is this attitude of like doing things just like it's good enough or whatever. You know, this is the same thing in our faith. Like, are you just doing your faith as like, you know, I'm really trying, you know, you're saying to God like you're really trying, but like it doesn't really matter if you're trying. You either kind of like you are practicing the truth or you are not practicing the truth. You don't need to give yourself some kind of a way out, you know, in your heart that you're trying when you're not really trying. And this also ties to the topic of like, you know, we can't trust our own heart. You know, we can only trust on and lean on God to show us the way, and the word of truth. Because if we rely on anything else, what happens is we don't have the answers in our heart, because our heart and nature essence leans towards satanic dispositions and being corrupt and being evil and doing evil, like coveting the flesh, you know, reveling in being merry and, you know, celebrating festivals, going out having fun, drinking, eating, you know, being lazy, depending who you are. You know, some people aren't lazy, some people are overworked, and you know, there's a balance in life and moderation. But the problem is our heart leans towards these extremes and doing evil things in our hearts and essences. Like, you need to recognize when and have the self-understanding and come before God and read the truth to understand when you're doing these things. Maybe this will awaken you to this. Well, it's like, when are you doing these things, right? Like when do you have selfish motives? Notice when you have selfish motives, so you can rebel against yourself and come before God to even talk about it, you know, you know. And if you need to repent and just talk about it honestly with God. It doesn't matter. You know, sometimes we also fail. Even I fail to sometimes talk about things with God not enough, or praying not enough about things or situations in my mind. And you know, and realize only to come later to talk to God. And that's also something we all need to work on. It's like being honest with God and notice even and rebel against yourself and your own mind and practice the truth is really what it is. It's like understanding when those selfish motives, pride and whatever comes your way, that those evil things, understanding these things, lust, whatever, like old thoughts, old habits, patterns. Maybe you're trying to covet fleshly pleasures of like family or friends or, you know, marriage or whatever. Like these are all like problems, and you need to understand when these things are running through your mind, it's those like evil patterns coming out again that we usually have. And that's when you need to understand to change. And you need to know that you can't trust your own heart. You can only trust the truth and God. You can't trust yourself fully, truly, because unless you can practice the truth and rebel against your flesh, or when those things come up, you really can't trust that you can willfully go the right way, you're definitely going to go the wrong way, because if you're not going by the truth, you're going by your own dispositions, which are wrong and evil, and we're naturally like that. So if you're naturally evil, then you can only naturally do evil things and bad things. And even if it's not straight up like a sin, it's probably just not bad. It's not great for you, it's bad for you basically. And it's probably going to go against God in some way, and you're going to end up coveting the flesh or something like this and have problems. This is kind of what you need to understand, is like these evil essences we have and dispositions and corruptness. We need to really come to understand that like these things hide within us, and we don't even realize it sometimes, and we're very ignorant to doing something wrong towards God and offending Him without even realizing sometimes, because we're not practicing the truth properly. And because we have these nature essences, these things hide so deep within us that we don't even realize it, and we're very unconscious to it. And that's when you kind of need to realize, when are you going in the wrong direction? Are you actually pushing the truth and praying to God and going by God, being obedient to the truth and God and what God is saying? Or are you actually going by your own will and ways? And that's kind of what you need to understand. And this is the same thing with trying. It's like, saying I'm trying to pursue the truth, but then you're actually a false leader, or you are doing something completely wrong and saying I'm trying, but you never actually change. That is not true change. Just saying you're trying is not enough. You need to actually also change who you are and transform with God through the truth. And that's the most important thing you need to do. And you need to really have and cultivate this mind of self-reflection, and not be afraid of self-reflection and exposing yourself. I talked about this, exposing evil in yourself and others. This also applies to other people. When you notice them doing evil, be able to discern other people, what they are like. Or do they have good humanity or not? Could you spread the gospel to them? Are they good people? And same thing with yourself, is you need to be able to come to understand yourself on a deep level and really think about every action and thought and deed you do and before God, and really understand what you're doing. And this applies to even like overworking and resting and everything else, and going to extremes. And these are the kind of satanic things in us, and dispositions of corruptness is we kind of go to extremes and do things in evil ways, and all these things are always hindering us on the inside because we haven't been purified by God. And that's why you keep sinning and making mistakes constantly and doing bad things. God is obviously very merciful and tolerant towards us. Obviously, He doesn't, like always, in a sense, He of course doesn't want us to sin. And but He understands that we're going to probably make mistakes on our journeys and sin even potentially, and make mistakes and probably offend God, but He gives us a chance to repent and to come to understand us also. That's how we can achieve true change and testimony before God, is understanding like, oh, I was doing this duty wrong, and now I came to understand this, and I can change my disposition and do it better. Or I was being deceitful, and now I'm not deceitful, I understood myself. Or I was betraying God here, or I was being weak here, and I betrayed God. You can come to understand this and create a testimony when you overcome these things. Obviously there are more grievous situations that you shouldn't get into where you betray God, really. You shouldn't get to that point. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to say in this video. Is about like trying and actually understanding and practicing the truth, and actually changing is two different things. As well as like, you can't trust your own heart that is evil, and not nature essence that is evil, because that nature essence will betray you every time. You can only lean on God and the truth, and practice and seek the truth. And when you're having trouble, seek the truth. That's how you come to understand yourself, and when you're going wrong, and that's how you can attain a chance at salvation of God. But I hope this video helps, and see you in the next video.